You can draw this in Procreate. During this fun and easy Procreate tutorial, I will guide you through all the steps to create this lovely winter girl character. We'll start out with a sketch, then we'll add all the flat colors, and then finally we'll start adding all the little details and shading. I'm sure you will feel proud once you have reached the end of this tutorial and you will have your own amazing illustration. If you would like to share it and you're sharing it on Instagram, then don't forget to tag me in the image, not just in the description, because that way I will be able to find your work and then maybe we will see it in the next video, just like these fantastic results from my friends at Patreon. You can find more than 150 Procreate drawing and painting tutorials there. You can come and draw this character with me, for instance. But now for this tutorial, we're working on a canvas that is 2500 pixels by 2500 pixels. Color profile set to sRGB, and you can find the color palette linked in the description. We will be using free Procreate brushes, not just brushes that are already in the app, but also some brushes from my free Procreate treasure chest. If you don't already have it, then go to freefromflow.com to get it. It's totally free, like I said. So if you have that and your iPad and pen are charged, then let's get started. We'll start off by sketching out our character, and we'll do that with the 6B pencil. It's under sketching. It's a Procreate standard brush. And for the color, let's just go for black. You can double tap here at the bottom and you'll have pure black, but you can also go for a gray, of course. It doesn't really matter, or you could actually use any color. Now the opacity of the brush is at 100% and the size is at 50%. And we'll start off by drawing a circle. So let's just draw a circle. Then hold your pen in place and tap one finger on the screen to make it turn into a perfectly round circle. Now the face will be slightly turned to the right. So let's make a curve on our little ball like this. Hold your pen in place to make it switch to a nice smooth curve. And then one like this. So this is the direction of the face, and it'll help us decide where the facial feature should be. Now we are going to use this ball as a base for the rest of our sketch. Let's do that on a new layer. Let's first lower the opacity of this one. Let's tab the N, slide to the left to, let's say, 40%, and then tap the plus for a new layer on which we can create the rest of our sketch. Now let's first draw a little circle here. That's where the nose will be. And then for the eyes, I'd like a little circle over here and one over here. And the mouth will be a little bit lower, about here. Then we'll have some hair. It'll be on this line, and a hat. And it's curved around the head, and it's pretty big. Let's make a shape like this. And let's also change the shape of the head a little bit. We'll make a little indent here, and then we'll go a little bit outside of the circle here. So we will give that face a little cheek here, a little indent there. And now let's add some hair that's curved like this. And we'll have some hair on this side, covering the face a little bit. And also moving to the outside here. And over here as well. Now we have that hair in front of the face. Just make these curved lines. And here we'll go in this direction. And then we have that hat over here along that hair. And that hat will also have two ears. It'll be like a bear hat. With these semicircles. And here we'll make like a muzzle. So that's also a semicircle. Simple shape with an eye here and one here. Big nose and a little mouth. Now in the front of that cap, of that hat, I want a thicker edge. So let's go along this line like this. So we have two lines there, two parallel lines, and that will give that hat some volume. Of course, we also need two little eyebrows. Maybe we can make this hair a little bit higher. And an eyebrow over here. Then we'll move downward for a neck over here. Let's also go along this lower side of the face, just to make that line a little bit thicker. So we have that neck. Then we'll make a curved line like this for the collar. And then another bigger one below. So just these two rounded shapes. Then for the shoulders, just make a line over here and one here. And then we'll add these two bands. One here and one like this. And she'll be inside an oval shape, so we can sketch that out a little bit. Shape like this. That'll be her frame. Then for the eyes, I'd like to give her these big cheeks, and they will cut off a part of the circle that we have created for the eye. So let's make one line like this. And then on this side as well. So she'll have these big cheeks. I can give a little bit of space here, make that hair a little bit smaller. Then she'll have eyelashes. You can sketch those out on this side as well. And the irises with pupils. We have one oval here and one here, which is a bit more to the left with a pupil inside and here as well. Let's also add a little curve right under the mouth for a little chin. And finally, I also want to add these leaf-like shapes at the top here for our bear cap. And maybe we can make this eye just a little bit bigger and that iris. So we'll get a darker line here at the top. But everything is still a bit messy right now, but we can tidy that up. We can go to our layers. We can lower the opacity of both. Let's set this one to 15% and top one, we can set that to 30% or 29, whatever, something around that number. Then tap the plus for a new layer. And then on top, you can create a more refined sketch. This is a process I use for a lot of my digital paintings and drawings. Right now we're taking 3 steps, but you can take as many steps as you like, continuously refining your sketch until it looks the way you want it to look. So now let's dive in and make a more refined sketch. We can start with the eyes, make a nice curve here for those lashes. And creating a more refined sketch will help you in the rest, well, during the rest of the process when adding the colors, adding the final lines. And while you create your more refined sketch, you can decide if you want to move a line a little bit, if something needs a bit of refinement. So we're just going over all of the lines, finding that perfect line. making small adjustments along the way. So you got that little curve here for that cheek, and then that iris. Those little eyebrows. And of course, these aren't realistic proportions. This is like a storybook character style. It has extra big eyes. So you don't have to worry about making something realistic. Now just rotate your canvas as you go to make it more easy to draw certain curves. Make a nice curve of this hair. And here you can see that I'm not following my sketch exactly. I'm just trying to look what line would be the best. And just making adjustments as I go. Here I want some space for that eyebrow. Then let's move to that cap. That bear hat. Making a nice curve along the hair. Then down here, let's follow that curve of the hair. Add some pointy parts. Then that extra line for that cap, for that volume in the front. Go all the way down here. And then the rest of the cap. All the way around. We have this hair. Let's add some of those pointy parts here. Then the bear ears. You could also turn this into a deer, for instance. You can make your own version here, creating a different sort of hat. Just these semicircles. And here we have this semicircle for the muzzle. It's big nose and these eyes. Almost there. And then for her neck and her clothing. That sketch, that part already looked pretty good. Just follow it. I'll rotate my canvas. I always find creating a curve this way is a bit easier for me. making that wrist movement. We have this band. Let's extend it a bit outside of that oval. And now we have all the information we need. Now we can get started adding the flat colors. First, let's merge these layers together. Just pinch them and then lower the opacity again. We'll tap the N, slide to the left to 30%. And now let's tap the plus for a new layer. And let's drag that underneath our sketch layer. Tap and hold and drag it underneath. And then for our brush, I'd like to go to the calligraphy brushes and use the script brush. And then for the color, we'll grab this one over here. That's the second color in the first row. We'll use that for her face. And the opacity of the brush should be at 100%, and I have the size set to 12%. And now let's just follow that face shape. Let's start here. And just try to smoothly follow that curve. And you can go outside of that. Well, you can go over that hair and over the cap, doesn't matter. Then let's drag in the color. And now let's move down towards the neck. Let's tap the plus. This layer should be underneath the face layer because that way we won't be painting over that face. It will be behind it. Now for the color, we'll grab this one, third color in the first row. And I'll just follow that sketch. Make sure you create a closed shape. And then drag in the color. Then for the inside of her sweater, we can make a layer underneath this one. So first tap the plus, then drag this underneath. And then for the color, we'll grab this one. Second color in the third row. And then let's make an oval shape. Drag in the color, and I will make another layer that is on top of the neck, but still under the face. Let's tap the plus here, and then for the color, we'll grab the first color in the third row, and then let me rotate. Now let's follow this curve. I'll rotate as I go. And then we need to make another curve that goes on top of that darker red and on top of the neck. And I see I made a little mark. Let me tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to the script brush so I can easily erase this. And then let's drag in the color. Then underneath, we'll make another layer. So let's tap the plus, drag it underneath the others. And with this color, we'll continue. Make sure to grab the brush and then create the shoulders. Make sure your shape is closed behind that color. And then drag in the color. Then make a new layer on top of this one, tap the plus. And then for the color, we'll grab this one, fifth color in the third row. And then let's make these bands. Drag in the color, then the other one. Drag in the color. And we'll tidy that underside up later. Now let's move on to the bear cap. Let's use this color for that. That's the first color in the second row. And let's make a layer on top of the others, but underneath the sketch layer, of course. So first tap this layer, then tap the plus. And then let's follow the shape of the cap. All the way to the other side. Then the other side. connect these two and then drag in the color. Then for the ears on the bear, we'll make a layer underneath this one. So first tap layer 2 again, then tap the plus. And then for the color, we'll grab this one, second color in the second row. And we'll make these semicircles, close them, drag in the color. And the other one. And let's also do those leaves on this layer. For those, I'd like to grab this color, third color in the second row. And let's just create these pointy shapes. We can color them in by hand, actually. Then let's make a new layer on top of our bear hat layer. Let's tap the plus. And then let's set this new layer to clipping mask. Now, whatever we draw here, it'll only show up on that hat. Now for the color, we'll use this one. Fifth color in the second row. And we'll use that for that edge. So let's go over there. Color that in. From one side to the other. Like that. Then for that muzzle, let's make a layer underneath this one. So first tap layer 8, then tap the plus, and you can see that it's automatically clipped. And for the color, let's grab this one, fourth color in the second row. Nice light color. Make a nice curve, close the shape, and drag in the color. Then we'll add another layer. So let's tap the plus again. And this time for the color, we'll grab this one. That's the seventh color in the second row, a nice dark color. And we'll use that for the nose and the eyes. Let's just create that nice oval shape for the nose and rounded shapes for the eyes. And that smile. Now we just need some extra color in the ears. So let's go to the ears layer over here. Let's tap the plus for a new layer on top. And then for the color, let's use this one, sixth color in the second row. And we'll just make these smaller semicircles. And one on this side. There. Next, let's work on the hair. Let's start with that area in front of the face. That layer can cover the face layer, and it should be underneath the hat layer because we don't want the color to cover that area. So we need to make a layer in between the hat and the face. So we'll go here, layer 2, then we'll tap the plus, and then for the color, let's grab this one. That's the seventh color in the first row. And then just focus on that hair that is in front of the face and make these nice curved shapes. Pointy shape here and here. Then loop around to close the shape. Maybe make this one a little bit broader, covering that part of the face. And then drag in the color. Then we have an area of hair that is behind the face. So we need to make a layer underneath the face layer. So we need to go, well, let's say here, layer 5, then tap the plus, and then we'll make a layer for the hair that is behind the face. Make sure to close the shape, drag in the color. Now here it's going a little bit too far, so we can just grab the eraser again and go along that cap like this. Then let's move to the other side, grab the brush and make this area. Now let's put this area on a separate layer because that way we can easily paint on this part of the hair later without going over this area. So let's make another layer. First tap layer 5, then tap the plus, and then we'll make that shape. I just feel like we can cut off a little part of the face here. So let's go to the face layer, layer 2, grab the eraser, and then we can just carve that a little bit like this. Next, let's work on the facial features. Let's go to, well, we are already on the right layer. We are already on a face layer, but let's tap the plus for a new layer on top. And then let's grab this color over here. 5th color in the first row. Now we're going to make the eyes. So let's make an oval shape. Hold your pen in place. And you can use edit here at the top, of course, to adjust it a little bit. And then drag in the color. Then let's make the other one. Hold your pen in place. Use edit if needed. And then drag in the color. Then we'll grab the eraser to erase that lower part. Make that curve for that cheek. Then we'll make a layer on top of this one. Let's tap the plus. And for the color, we'll grab this one. 8th color in the first row. And we'll use that to create the lashes. Now with the script brush, the harder you press, the thicker your line will become. At least if you are using something like an Apple Pencil, which has pressure sensitivity. And when creating these lashes, try to use little pressure at the beginning and then more pressure as you move towards the lashes. So let's try that. Let's use little pressure here, then more pressure, and then little pressure. Then hold your pen in place so you get a nice curve. And then here we have a little thicker dot. You can just grab the eraser to get rid of that. Then for the lashes, grab the brush again and add these again, more pressure to less. Then let's do the same thing on the other side. Let's start here with little pressure, then thicker, and then less. Hold your pen in place and then check if you have a little bump. You can always grab the eraser to get rid of that. Then grab the brush again and create the lashes. Next, let's create the irises. Let's make a layer on top of the white of the eye. Let's tap the plus and set this layer to clipping mask. So our iris won't go over, especially this area here. Then for the color, let's use this one, 7th color in the 2nd row. And then let's draw an oval. Hold your pen in place. You can use edit at the top to adjust it a little bit. I wanted to almost touch the top and leave a bit more space on the right side and a bit less on the left side. Then drag in the color. Now let's make an oval here. Hold your pen in place. Use edit at the top to make it a bit more rounded. And move it so you get a little bit of space at the top there. Something like this. Now let's drag in the color. Then for the pupils, we need another layer. Let's tap the plus. And for the color, we'll grab this one. 8th color in the 1st row. Then let's make an oval here. Use edit at the top to adjust it. Drag in the color and then make another one over here. Use edit. Use the handles to adjust it. I want it to look similar to the one on the left, so I'm not following the sketch exactly. And then let's drag in the color. Then for the eyebrows, let's make another layer. We can actually pinch these together Just make sure that they are still separate from that white of the eye. And then let's make a new layer on top of the face layer. So first tap the face layer, then tap the plus. And then for the color, we'll grab this one. 7th color in the first row. And let's create the eyebrows. Now for the eyebrows, I'd like to use a different brush. I'd like to use the water pen, which is also part of the calligraphy brushes. And the opacity is at 100%. And let's set the size to 5%. And then let's create these eyebrows. And you can see that this brush has a bit more transparency. It blends a bit more, making it a bit easier to use for these type of things. You can push the paint around a little bit. And then let's also use this for the mouth. Let's use a little pressure, create a thin little line, and then a little line here and here. And now the only thing we need is an oval for our background. For that oval, let's grab the monoline brush, which is also part of the calligraphy brushes. And for the color, we'll grab this one. First color in the first row. The opacity of the brush should be at 100%. Let's set the size to 30. And then let's make a new layer at the bottom. First, let's tap layer 6 here, then tap the plus, and then let's drag this to the bottom. And then let's draw an oval. Let's go from here to the top, back down, hold your pen in place, then go to ellipse here at the top, move it around a little bit, and now let's drag in the color. Now I want this to have like a fade, a gradient from white to that blue. And to do that, we are going to turn on alpha lock on this layer, tap it, then turn on alpha lock so that whatever we paint, it won't go outside of the shape. And then for the brush, we'll go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And for the color, we'll just grab white. So double tap here. The opacity of this brush is at 70%. Let's set the size to 20%. And now let's go over the top like this and fade it to the bottom. Make multiple strokes at the top. One more so that it's really faded and that it looks something like this. Next, I want this area to be like inside of that oval. To do that, we will go to this layer first, layer 6, tap it and turn on clipping mask. And then do the same for this one. Tap it and turn on clipping mask. Now we have everything we need to get started with shading. For the shading, I'd like to use my basic flow brush. It's part of the treasure chest brush pack. If you don't already have it, go to freefromflow.com to get it for free. It's full of really amazing brushes. And right now we'll use this basic flow brush. Let's start with the cap. And let's also lower the opacity of the sketch some more. Let's tap the N on our sketch layer and let's set it to 10%. Now let's go to the bear head. Let's start with layer 8 here. Let's tap alpha lock and then let's get started with shading. Let's grab this color, 5th color in the 2nd row. And the opacity of this brush is at 100%. Now let's set the size to 35. And now with this brush, we will go over this area and you can keep it a bit messy. It's okay if you see the brush strokes. It's a bit of a transparent brush, so you can make layers upon layers to gently build up the color. Just add some shadow to this side. And then on the other side, we'll add some light. Let's grab a lighter color like this one, 3rd color in the 2nd row. And let's go over the other side. But like I said, you can see the brush strokes can be a little bit messy. So that will add character to our illustration. So we got some light there. Now let's grab a darker color. Let's use this one, second color in the second row. And let's go along that muzzle. Add a little edge there. And let's also go around the eyes. Now let's go in here. Then I want to grab this lighter color, or maybe this one. This color, you can just hold your finger on the screen. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller, 20%. And then let's add a lighter edge here around the eye. Then let's move to the muzzle, layer 11. Let's tap it, turn on alpha lock. Then for the color, we can actually use this one. It's slightly darker than what we have here. We can add a little bit of darker brush strokes here. Then let's grab this color, first color in the second row, and add a bit more. Just a little bit of shadow here. And then let's move to that edge, layer 10, tap it, turn on alpha lock. And then for the color, let's grab this one, seventh color in the second row. So we can gently add a little bit of shadow here. Very gently, just a little bit. Then let's also grab the second color in the second row. So we can lighten this one a bit. So we get a little bit of color variety in this area. Then let's move to the nose. Let's go to this layer, tap it, turn on alpha lock. Then for the color, let's grab this one, fifth color in the second row. And let's add some light on the top of the nose here. Now let's switch to that water pen brush. Let's just go to the top here to recent and then grab our water pen. And for the color, let's grab this one, first color in the second row, and add a little light here, right on that edge. Now let's move on to the ears. Now we can actually pinch these layers together once you're happy with them. Let's pinch them. Then let's go to the ears layer, tap it, and turn on alpha lock. Then for our brush, we will go back to the basic flow brush. And for the color, let's first grab this one, sixth color in the second row. We'll use that for a little bit of shadow. To make the brush a bit bigger again, 35%. Darken the left side a bit. And here as well. Making multiple strokes. Then for a lighter color, we'll grab this one, first color in the first note, the second row. And then add some light on the right side. And over here as well. Then for those leafy shapes, let's grab this color as well. First color in the second row, we can stick with that. Add a little bit of shadow here at the bottom, a little bit of color variety. And then let's grab that water pen again. And let's use that to create a little outline on each of these leaves. And let's also add these veins. Very simple. Then for the inside of the ears, we have them over here, layer 13. Tap that layer, turn on alpha lock. Then for the brush, we will go back to the basic flow brush. And for the color, we'll grab this one. That's the seventh color in the second row. Let's zoom out a bit and add some shadow here on the right side, because that light is coming from this direction and this is like inside that ear, so there's some shadow here and over here as well. Now we have nicely shaded the hat. Next, let's work on the clothing. Let's start with the easy stuff and then later we'll work on the hair and the face, slowly building things up. And let's go to the color layer, layer 5 here. Let's tap it, turn on alpha lock. And then for our color, we'll grab this one. Second color in the third row. We still have our basic flow brush. And we'll go over here and add a darker touch at the bottom. Because remember, the light is coming from here, so it's hitting the top part and it's causing a shadow at the bottom. So let's make a curved line like this and make some visible brush strokes. You can also make some curves like this. There's also some shadow here because the face, the head is casting a shadow here and here as well. It's blocking the light. Now let's go even darker. Let's grab this color, third color in the third row. And let's go over here, add some darker shadow here as well, and some on the underside. Then let's go to the brushes. Let's go back to the calligraphy brushes and then use the brush pen. Now for this pen, we are going to set the opacity to 100% and let's set the size to 7%. And this brush pen is a little bit like the script brush, but it has some more transparency. And let's make these curved lines like this, following that shape of the color. Maybe one over here. Now I do feel like this area could use a little bit of a color boost. Let's go to the treasure chest brush pack. There we have it. And let's use the color booster brush over here. We have it set to red. Now the opacity is at 100%, the size at 43. And let's just gently go over here, giving the colors a slight boost. Then let's move to this layer, layer 4. Let's tap it, turn on alpha lock. Let's go back to the basic flow brush and let's add some more shadow here. Just some brush strokes, adding some variety. And now we can move on to the neck. Layer 3, tap it, turn on alpha lock. Then let's grab this color, fourth color in the first row. And we are going to add a shadow that is cast by the face, by the head. Let's make a little curve here. Now let's move on to the rest of the clothing. Let's go to layer 6, tap it, turn on alpha lock. Then for the color, we will go to this one again, second color in the third row. And let's first add some shadow on this side, add that color variety. That band is also casting a shadow. And here underneath that color, along this band. Then we'll switch to the darker color, third color in the third row. And I will deepen the shadows even more. And then let's move to that brush pen again. You can find it under recent since we have recently used it. So let's grab that and make some lines here as well. Over here, following that curve of the body. Now let's add one here. Then let's also gently boost the colors of this area. So we can grab the color booster brush again and just gently go over there. It's very subtle, but I think it looks great. Now let's work on layer 7 here. Let's tap it, turn on alpha lock. Then we will grab the basic flow brush again. And for the color, we will grab this one, fourth color in the third row. And we'll start by adding some dabs, adding some shadow, some nice blotches, adding interest on this side as well. That color is casting a shadow. And this area is darker since that's also in the shadow area. And then let's grab that brush pen again, just for a few little details. Let's add a line here. And maybe there are some folds or some texture. Little line here. Maybe we can just darken this entirely. And let's darken this a bit as well. Maybe over here. I think that looks great. Now the most exciting part, the face and the hair. So let's move to the face layer. Over here, layer 2, let's turn on alpha lock. And then for our brush, let's use the basic flow brush. And for the color, let's go for this one, third color in the first row. Now the opacity of the brush is still at 100%. Let's set the size to 20%. And let's first go along the edges. With the edges of the hair, they are casting a shadow. So let's just gently go along that area. And along here, this side of the face is also in shadow. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger, 35. Make some rounded motions here. And again, along that hair. And a little bit underneath that chin here. Let's go a little bit darker. Let's grab the fourth color in the first row to gently build it up. Make some darker shadows. Perhaps a little bit over here. And then let's create those rosy cheeks. Let's grab that first color in the third row and then make a big oval shape without lifting your pen. A big oval shape here. And then you can lift your pen and make a smaller shape, gently building the color up. Every time you lift your pen, you will recharge your paint and you can make it more opaque. Then let's go over here, make another oval. First a big one, and then build it up by lifting your pen and making a smaller one. Now we can soften this a little bit by going to the smudge tool and setting it to the standard blender, which is also part of the treasure chest brush pack. Now the opacity is at 50% and the size is at 20. And you can gently go over these areas with rounded motions and then softening the edges a little bit. You can use this to push and pull the paint a little bit. Make it nice and soft with these rounded motions. Then let's go for the nose. Let's go back to the brush. Let's go in here. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller, perhaps maybe 20%. Let's see. Maybe even smaller. 10%. Make rounded motions for that nose and then go upward like this. Then again, you can use the smudge tool to soften this a little bit. And go back to the brush. Now let's switch to a darker red. Let's grab the third color in the third row. And then let's go over this underside. turning this girl into like a human version of Rudolph. So just the underside, a little bit over here. Nice red nose. Then let's switch back to that pink first color in the third row. And let's go create a little bit of this. We'll add a little bit of this color above this eyelid and here as well, just for some color variety. And let's create that little chin. Just a semicircle, softened at the top. Then we'll switch our brush to the water pen. And for the color, let's grab this one. Fourth color in the first row. And let's create a little edge right here. Create that shape of that cheek. Define it a bit more. And let's do the same over here. Maybe blend it a bit. Let's grab the smudge tool, blend it a little bit in this area so it's not that prominent. Then let's grab the brush again and grab a light color, this fifth color in the first row. And then let's add a little highlight on the nose and a little one here to make it nice and shiny. Let's also add a little light along the eye and some highlight along the face. A nice rim light like this. Also a little bit over here. Now let's switch back to the basic flow brush. And then let's also add some little highlights on the cheek. Make the brush a little bit smaller, 5%. Make a variety of these little sparkles. They are like inversed freckles. Over here as well. We'll add a little bit of interest and variety. That looks great. Now let's move to the eyes. Let's start on layer 17. Let's tap that layer, turn on alpha lock, and I will switch to this color, sixth color in the first row, and we'll use that to add a shadow. Let's just go over here, make a curved line, make multiple strokes, gently making it darker, and then the same over here. Also curved line, little shadow along this edge, and then multiple strokes. Then we'll move on to the irises and pupils. Again, turn on alpha lock on the layer. And then let's first grab this color, 8th color in the first row, and let's add some shadow. Make the brush a little bit bigger, 15%. And we are going to blend this together a little bit by adding that darker color here as well. Shadow at the top. Then we'll switch to a lighter color. Let's grab this one, 9th color in the first row. And we'll have some light over here in that bottom left area and a little bit at the top and over here as well. You can make it a little bit blotchy and over here. And then let's add highlights with the water pen, and we'll grab that light color again, 5th color in the first row, and then make a highlight over here and a smaller one here. So big one in the upper right and a smaller one in the lower left. Do the same over here. And now she has nice sparkly eyes. Now we can move on to the hair, another fun part. Let's start with this layer. Layer 14, let's tap it and turn on alpha lock. And first we'll start with the basic flow brush again and with a dark color. Let's start with this one. That's the 7th color in the 2nd row. And let's go along this edge, for instance. Along that hat, there will be some shadow. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. Let's go for 35% again. Have some shadow here. We mainly just want some color variety right now. Darker parts near the bottom. Along this curve. We can add some more strokes. Then let's grab a different brush. Let's go back to the treasure chest brush pack and use the smudgy hairbrush. Now for this brush, the opacity is at 100% and I have the size set to 40. And now let's just go over the hair with this color and act as if you are combing the hair. Just follow that flow of the hair. Follow that shape. Now you get that nice hairy texture. Now let's switch colors. Let's grab this one. That's the 8th color in the 2nd row. We'll add some lighter strokes. Be gentle about it. And again, follow that flow of the hair. And over here as well. This side will be a bit lighter, so we'll go over there multiple times. And you can also switch to, let's go to recent brushes. You can also switch to the water pen with this light color, and then you can add some lighter strokes in some areas, and at the same time adding a bit of texture over here as well. Let's also add some darker strokes with this color, with that 7th color in the 2nd row. And let's use that brush pen for that. So I'll use the brush pen and add some definition. Go along these areas. Separating some of the strands a little bit. And now we are going to use the same steps for the rest of the hair. And at the same time, I feel like we can also turn off the sketch layer. Then let's go to this layer first, layer 15, tap it, turn on alpha lock. First, we'll start with the basic flow brush again. We already have the dark color. So let's, for instance, go here, add some shadow there, add some dark parts. And here, especially near that cap, it'll be darker. Here at the bottom. Then we'll switch to the smudgy hairbrush again. And I will follow that flow of the hair, adding that hair texture here as well. Make these curved motions. Then we'll switch to the light color, 8th color in the 2nd row. And we'll add some lighter strokes. And here as well on the ends. And then let's switch to the brush pen. I think that will look nice as well for a little highlight. And then we'll switch to the dark color, 7th color in the 2nd row to refine it even more and separate these strands a bit. Do the same here. You don't have to start with light. You can also start with the darker color. Separating the strands. Then switching back to the previous color. You can also tap and hold here and it'll switch to the previous color. Adding some light. Then finally that little strand. Let's go there. Let's go to layer 16, tap it, turn on alpha lock, then grab the basic flow brush again. Then we'll go to the dark color. We can tap and hold to make it switch to the previous color. Add some dark here. Then we'll go back to the smudgy hairbrush. We'll add that texture following the shape of the hair. Then we'll switch back to the previous color. Add some light touches. And now let's just grab the brush pen with the dark color so we can tap and hold again. And let's just add a little bit of that dark to refine these strands a bit more. Now for a final touch, I'd like to add a few snowflakes. I'd like to do that on top of all the layers. Let's tap the plus here at the top, and then for the color, we'll grab this one, 5th color in the first row, and for the brush, we will use the water pen. And we are going to add these snowflakes in random places in front of our character. And try to vary the sizes a bit. Some will be a bit bigger, some will be smaller. In front of the hair. It'll really give that winter effect. Also on the clothing. Now here for our background. You can also make some bigger snowflakes by creating a shape like this and then adding these extras. It's a very basic snowflake. I think this brush is perfect for creating snowflakes actually. Let's make another bigger one here. So first you make a shape like this, star shape, and then add these little extensions. Just a few more. And that's it. You have created a lovely winter girl character. I hope you have enjoyed following along. Don't forget to share your work. And if you want to turn this into a streak, then I think you might like this tutorial next. I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the next video.